Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the forehand grip on the serve. And there are actually a lot of myths when it comes to the forehand grip on the serve. Maybe you didn't know that some of the greatest servers of all time actually served with a slight forehand grip. For example, Boris Becker or Patrick Rafter. These guys on their first serves were slightly over towards the forehand side on what's called the Australian grip. Is the edge between the Continental grip and the Eastern forehand grip. And another common myth of the forehand grip on the serve is that you can't achieve a racket drop when you indeed have a forehand grip. So even if I have a severe forehand grip, in this case it's an Eastern forehand grip, and I hit a serve with pretty good speed, I can achieve a proper racket drop. There's absolutely no problem getting the racket to drop the normal way. In reality, there's going to be very little difference between my regular Continental grip and a serve with a forehand grip when it comes to the racket drop. Take a look. Here's a forehand grip on the serve. You'll see that my racket will drop almost the same amount. So your racket will drop if you have a forehand grip. Another myth is that you're going to lose power with a forehand grip. This is also not necessarily true. You are going to be able to smack that ball pretty hard even with a forehand grip. There's no reason, because there's no loss of range of motion. You are going to be able to smack that ball pretty hard when you indeed have a forehand grip. Now you're probably thinking, this is great news, Nick, I serve with a forehand grip. Does this mean that I can keep serving with a forehand grip? You absolutely cannot. And it doesn't matter how long you've been playing, even if you've built up a lot of muscle memory and you are serving with a forehand grip, at least an Eastern forehand grip, or even in a worst case scenario you have a semi-Western forehand grip on the serve, you absolutely have to change it because of several reasons. The reason number one why you must change your forehand grip right away, because you are going to have a lack of variety on your serve. It's going to be absolutely impossible to put any type of kick or slice on your serve if you indeed serve with a forehand grip. And while you are able to generate some good pop with a forehand grip on your serve, especially if it's done in conjunction with other power sources, there's going to be less range of motion when it comes to the way the racket is traveling through the air. So in a Continental grip, if you have all the proper fundamentals and if you have possessed the right serve acceleration, the racket will come out on edge, and now you're going to be pronating into the contact, and on some serves you are going to continue to pronate. This is not the case in a forehand grip. If you take a look at my racket head, if I come out of the drop, you see that my hand is going straight at the ball like this. This is what you call approaching the ball with the strings. There's absolutely no pronation into the contact, and when this is the case, you're using less of the natural ways to get power on the serve, because we are not controlling the way the racket is traveling throughout the service motion. If you serve with the proper fundamentals, if you have proper serve acceleration, naturally the racket will come out on edge, and then naturally with the right muscle memory you learn very early on to open the strings into the contact, which is basically what pronation into the contact is. And this little movement right here absolutely does add to the effortlessness of a tennis serve. Okay, so now comes the important part of this video, which is the tutorial on how to actually change the grip from a forehand grip on the serve to a Continental grip. And before I go on any further, I'm okay with you being on the Australian grip. So this is going to be a very small, minute detail, but if you go to the Australian grip, you're going to be okay. If you go to the Continental grip, it's going to be the optimal way, because from here you don't have to worry about any grip changes. I do have some students that serve with an Australian grip, and you do need to change your grip if you want to hit a kick serve or a slice serve. It's going to be very difficult to do even with Australian grip. So the optimal way to do it is to do all serves with a Continental grip, but I am okay with you serving with an Australian grip. So before I tell you how you're going to change your grip from a forehand grip to a Continental grip, I first have to explain to you what is going to happen to your serve when you do change your grip to a Continental grip. So if you have a Eastern grip on your serve, your wrist will have a certain muscle memory at the moment of contact. Usually the wrist is going to be a little bit more straight. There's not going to be a lot of extension in your wrist. If you take a look at my racket head is neutral. This is what's supposed to happen. And my wrist is kind of neutral as well. So even though you're not aware that you're getting this position at the moment of contact, your body has developed muscle memory. So now, as you change your grip to a Continental grip, you see how the angle of the racket face changes, but my wrist stays in the same position. And now, if I turn towards the court, you will see that the strings are pointed towards the side, and I'm going to get all my serves to have an extreme leftward trajectory on right-handed servers. It's going to look something like this. Once you change your grip from a forehand grip to a continental grip, everything's going to go that way. So here's what I want you to do to successfully change your grip from a forehand grip to a continental grip is I want you to serve from the service line, and also don't want you to do a whole serve but half a serve. I want you to freeze that racket right at the moment of contact. So the thing that we need to avoid is this extreme leftward trajectory of the ball because we have muscle memory built up. So we have to learn to actually extend the wrist a little bit more. It's going to feel like a high five. So if you come up to the ball like this and then you turn the hand over and high five the ball, this is exactly the movement that you need to do in order to break this leftward trajectory. And the best way to do it is to actually freeze the contact, because here you'll be able to feel the contact in the easiest way. So you simply toss the ball up and freeze the racket right at contact, and you'll see it's going to be a lot easier to turn the wrist over to get a further extension of the wrist and make the angle of the racket face more neutral. Now the next progression that you can do is actually to back up a little bit further, and in order to get the ball over the net, you will see that it's going to be more difficult to freeze the racket, but I want you to try to freeze it anyway. But generally what will happen is that there will be some continuation of the swing, just because you're trying to get the ball over the net and you're further away, you will swing a little bit faster and it's going to be more difficult to freeze the racket right there. But in this progression, you're still concentrating on the contact and you're still trying to get rid of that bad angle of your wrist. You're trying to get more wrist extension. So the first progression is you do the freezing of the racket at contact from the service line, then you do it from the baseline, and then you slowly start introducing your full service motion, and you simply check how much leftward trajectory you're getting. If you're still going here, now it's time to get back to progression number one. If you're slowly starting to get that serve into the box, now you know you have built some muscle memory into your serve, and you're on the right path to get rid of that forehand grip. Now here's another thing that happens to a lot of players. They will go through these progressions and then it appears as if they're serving nice and straight, they're getting rid of the grip. But if you examine their serves in a little bit more close detail, you will see that somewhere along the way in the service motion there is a grip change. So usually it happens close to the trophy phase or in the racket drop, is that these players will open their fingers and turn the racket over mid-service motion, and they're not really aware that they're doing this. But the best way to check this is to immediately look on your hand after the serve. So if you start in a continental grip and then after the serve you check and you see, uh-oh, my hand slipped to a forehand grip, you know that somewhere inside your service motion you actually changed the grip. But don't worry, there's the paper trick. And in one of my lessons with Anna, I demonstrated how the paper trick works. So in order for you to maintain the same position of your hand throughout the service motion, all you need to do is put a piece of paper underneath your finger, and if you finish your serve and this piece of paper is still on your grip, that means that your fingers will hold the racket in the same position throughout the whole serve. If indeed you let go of the racket to change the grip, the little piece of paper is going to fly away and you know you're making a grip change mid-serve. But guys, I've been doing this for a while and I know what the reality is. A lot of you guys are not going to put in the time and effort that it's going to take to break this muscle memory, and a lot of players are stuck serving with a forehand grip forever. They just simply can't get rid of this type of serve. They're too comfortable serving with the forehand grip, and it's too much work to build the correct muscle memory and to change it. And I don't care how much muscle memory is built up. When it comes to the fundamentals on the serve, it doesn't matter what else you're trying to do on your serve, you will have extreme limitations when it comes to your serve, especially when it comes to your second serve. See, a lot of these players, while they might be able to pop a first serve pretty hard, here's what these players are stuck with on the second serve. It's basically a tap in. This is the only option you have, because with a forehand grip, you absolutely have no chance to put slice or spin on your second serve. So for that reason, it is of the utmost importance that no matter how much muscle memory is built up, you absolutely must change your grip to at least an Australian grip, or ideally a continental grip on your serve.